Welcome back, everyone. Going into hour number 3 here of episode 51. So I'm coming in upstairs and they're coming in downstairs.
Yeah, I think that we're moving this party inside, and the inside of this inn. Help me understand, Sully and Kalimat. Is this
It's more of an apartment than an inn.
Yeah, is it like a nice upstanding place? Is it like some rooms over a bar? What kind of establishment is this?
It is a wide open room with literally nothing in it.
Okay, like the main room of the place is that? So it's just full of people?
No. It is, well, like the place where we reside is just
yeah.
a
No,
room with
I mean
literally. Okay.
Yeah, I mean the inn more generally.
Okay, I would think that the inn is probably more like a collection of everyone that stays or lives here or rents out the rooms as an apartment. So I would think some of our neighbors are, people that just use it for storage, that come by here every once in a while and do partake in the festivities.
I like the idea of it being a sort of like crowded place where some people have lived here for years, other people are just coming in and out.
Yeah.
And yeah, all of the door of the common room being open to the street, the doors to most people's little apartments are open, and people are inviting people in for drinks, and the smell of tea and tobacco and opium smoke are in the air. And downstairs, the main room has been cleared of most of its furniture so that more people can come in.
Right.
And there are folks moving around, passing out drinks. People sitting around big ornate glass and bronze water pipes, sitting on pillows. And and so who is the first? Like, Sully, do you come all the way downstairs, or are we with Berg and Kalimat coming into the room?
Well, I would be going to my room. I wouldn't be partaking. So
okay, all right. So let's start downstairs. So
yeah.
So Berg and Kalimat, you come in, and I think a human dressed in like celebratory finery, like a black veil and skull makeup and stuff. She comes up to you, and she's got some friends with her, and you recognize them. They've been in the audience for a couple of your cons. They say. She comes up and she says, Kalimad, won't your friend join? You and your friend join us? We've just prepared the hookah. And they look over and there's a big water pipe there. And she says, Laren has just come back from the Court of Coins with something very special. He calls it snake eyes, black, very thick. It will give you the finest dreams. You come. And like she's kind of like pulling on your cloak, like, come check it out.
So he talking about opium, obviously.
Yeah, something like it. Yep.
Okay. I'm sorry. Remind me of your name one more time.
And she
go get him, Adam! Yay!
Yeah, she grins at you, and she says, I never had my opportunity to introduce myself to you. I had thought that perhaps we could have had a conversation around the water pipe. I am 12 silver daisies. And she like nods and like kind of bows. And she's got this like hair clip, like headpiece thing that's holding her. She has very black hair and it's pulled back from her head. And it's made up of tiny little silver shells, and they sparkle and sort of twinkle as she bends her head and catches the light.
Well, may I say that your name is only half as charming, or half as, oh, I'm sorry. Give me 1 second here. I'm not as charismatic as he is. May I say that your name should be at least double of what it is to display your charm and your beauty.
You don't know half of you half as well as you'd like, and you like less than half of you half as well as they deserve.
Yeah, exactly. Very Willy Wonka. Yeah.
Yeah. She smiles and blushes, and And she already liked you before, but now you're paying direct attention to you. And so she just like shakes her head slightly, and her little headpiece is like jingling.
And let Lauren, is that his name? Her name? Let them know that tonight is just drink for me. I plan to have a conversation with a friend I've just made, and I would like a clear head. Well, clearer than what he has would provide me.
She pouts a little, and one of her friends makes a sound to the equivalent of like, "See, I told you we shouldn't bother him." And she demurely kind of looks away, and she says, "Well, when you're done with your friend, we'll be just over there." She gestures, and you can see someone is putting this black kind of substance in the top of the pipe, and someone else is lighting some incense, and they're getting ready to tune in and check out. And they head over. She heads over that way.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think as
Now-
they go. Oh, go ahead.
Now, did you say that you were Salihafa were in the same building or in the same
Yeah, I was coming
area
in.
as us?
I was coming in from the
You
rooftop.
said he went to his room, right?
I mean, I don't think anyone in the room notices because they're all kind of caught up in their own thing. But we, as an audience, we hear the like clunk, clunk.
No,
Right.
and that's
People
stole
yeah.
the fucking words right out of my mouth because I was going to address him without looking at him.
Right.
I was going to be in my seat and hear that clump, clump, clump.
Right. So I think
And-
instead you hear him upstairs. Yeah, because you're not coming downstairs, right, Sully?
No.
Oh, okay. The apartments are upstairs, and we're downstairs. Okay.
Yep.
Now I get it. Okay. So I hear that. I hear that upstairs as we're. Whoa, I'm sorry, Berg. If you are going to sit down or whatever, I don't know what you're going to do. I'm motioning. I'm moving towards the table that she has set for us.
Yeah.
With my drink in hand and.
Berg was just as she moved away, he was just kind of laughing to himself, like,
Don't let me keep you. She seems great.
just kind of laughing at the just seeing what his this is Berg's version of playing with somebody.
Oh yes. Well, I think she needs a few more summers to pass before I will approach that garden, so to speak. Will you join me for a drink and a chair?
Berg doesn't say anything. He just like kind of with his goblet goes like, lead the way.
Okay.
I'm here.
So I sit down and I hear the clump, 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 and I say, I see my traveling partner has made his way back into his rooms. I can hear him clomping about upstairs.
Is he also famous? So many know you.
Oh, just in this area. I travel outside of this, and I'm nobody, except, of course, I have a tendency to stick out with my appearance. I'm sure you understand.
You might want to be careful with that. It can prove to be a problem.
Well, I like to turn problems into opportunities. In fact, I think, would you mind if my friend joined us?
I think Berg ponders that for a second. I think after like a few beats, Berg says,
Do you trust them?
Oh, only with my life.
then he just nods.
All right. Well, I will give you my drink to keep you company because I see that you drink very quickly. So when I return, I will order myself one more and one for my friend. Don't go anywhere.
When you give him your drink, Berg looks at it, looks at you, and like really stares into your eyes, like just to see, like he's figuring what you're about. He's kind of confused while you're talking to him, and
then I see that look and I go, trust me, my friend. If I was going to harm you, you wouldn't know it.
Good, because I am hard to kill, and even harder to fight.
I do not doubt that for a single second. And I'm away.
I love the idea too that as you say this, Bergred, that I'm very hard to kill. You're surrounded by people pretending to be death, right? Like death is everywhere, right? The whole room is full of people dressed in black with skull masks, and like I think you look over and on the stage there are a group of humans and dwarves performing like a mock funeral for one of their friends who's trying really hard to like keep their eyes closed and not giggle as someone else is like delivering a eulogy. Yeah, and so you're surrounded by the trappings of death, which no one is taking seriously. And then there's this moment of like, I'm very hard to kill. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so Kalimat, you slip away upstairs, and I think for now we follow you. So our camera sticks with you. You pass by a couple in strange feathered costumes making out up against a wall on the stairs as you like sneak past them. And head up towards your room. Now, do you share a room or do you have your own room?
I think we have our own.
I would assume we have
share.
our own rooms.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say we share, but that's totally fine. That makes it better.
Okay. All right. So you come upstairs, and of course, as soon as you get to the top of the stairs, you hear a boisterous voice from one of your neighbors say Kalimat, and he steps out of his room, and it's a dwarf. He's like older. He's probably in like the human equivalent of his 60s. Gray hair. It's all done up. The dwarves have these complicated like squarish like braid things they wear, and his is all like kind of messy. And his beard, one of his the braids in his beard is done, and his shirt's all undone. He comes out of his room. He's got one boot on. And he says, he's like, I thought I saw you. How are you doing, my friend? And like, kind of stumbles towards you slightly.
Ah, Eberk. Right? Is that right, Eberk?
He nods and he says, tonight, my boy, you can call me as you like. And he looks over his shoulder and he's like, she's called me 3 different things already. And you see like lying on his bed with the sheets like pulled up. There's a human woman, and she like rolls her eyes like, oh my God, like why didn't you just stay in here?
Well, I see you've been delving the deeps as dwarves do.
And he says, he nods and he says, aye, such sweet and supple deeps they are.
Well, I'll leave you to it. I actually have pressing business that I'm attending to at the moment. But please, tell me your tale when you're done. You know how much I like to hear them.
And he looks at you and says, I will tell you everything I can remember, which by the end of this night might not be much. Maybe you're the one telling me what I did. And he turns around and he looks at this woman and he says, on this, and as you're walking away, he puts his hand to his chest earnestly. He says, on this, the night, beloved of death, I have a gift for you, my lady. And he like staggers towards the bed and he says, another death, but just a little one. And like jumps into the bed, and you hear her like squeal in the light.
And I close the door slowly.
Yeah, so you just reach in and shut the door.
Yeah.
Great. Right, you squeeze by some more people, and you get back to where your room is. And is you and Sully have rooms like across the hall from each other, or like next to each other?
Yeah, somewhere next to each other.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I would say instead of if we could manage it next to each other, so in case like whatever happens, like we could hear it through the walls or whatever.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, so I come up and I rap on the door very flamboyantly. Solly, I know you're in there. Come out. It is time to celebrate.
You don't hear anything for a second or so, then the lumbering steps as they approach the door.
And I'm doing this on purpose because I know you hate it.
Yeah.
I'm just being as loud as possible.
Yeah, I open the door, and the door frame cuts off at around my jaw, so I'm just kind of standing above it.
Right, you see him from like the
Yeah.
bottom lip down.
And I yes. And behind me, you see the room completely vacant except for a small pearl in the center and a piece of chalk laying next to it. I was attempting to sleep.
How is that attempt going, my friend?
Longer than I thought.
Well, I have someone downstairs that I think you would like to meet. Will you join me for one small, teeny, tiny little drink?
Who? And I just stare at you and kind of like cock my head. Who is it you want me to meet?
Well, that will ruin the surprise, won't it? But if you must know, it is an orc. An orc of some renown. Maybe not by face, but by reputation. We've heard of him. I believe you've spoken of him many times. I found him. Join me, won't you?
My eyes kind of widen and my arms extend out from my shell a little bit more than they were. And I just kind of shut the door in your face. You hear some steps inside. I go and pick up the pearl and pick up the chalk and put that in my bag. Some steps back to the door, the same amount.
So what is the inside? Because I think that in all fiction, the rooms in which characters spend most of their time tell so much about them, right? So what is the inside of Sully's room in this place look like? You've been here a little while, enough to kind of like settle a little. What do we see as we follow you walk over to your desk and then back?
There's no desk. It's literally just a wide open vacant room with a piece of chalk on the ground and a pearl.
Oh, that's so good. So just nothing in the room at all. Like
Yeah,
no furniture, no.
I was
Right,
interrupted.
okay.
He was. I was
Yeah.
in the process of making my bed, so to speak, but I was interrupted.
Cool. Okay.
So yeah, I pick up the small crystal bead, as it were, and put the chalk back in my pouch as well as the bead, and same amount of steps back to the door because I've counted
And then
them.
you hear me shout through the door. No, take your time.
This is the fastest route. And then you hear like the door open. I am ready.
Well, then let's away.
And I kind of duck under the door and
Yeah.
start walking down the steps.
Now, are you disguised right now, Sully?
I think I get halfway out of the room, like ducking under it, and realize that I'm not.
Do you realize this, or because I was just gonna ask because of skills, you don't have the disguise kit skill, right, Sully?
No, I do not.
Right, but Kalimat does.
Right.
Right.
So I walk out the door and realize.
Is Kali responsible for like keeping you disguised? And if so, Kalimat, are you the one that's like, you forgot your cloak, right? How does this go?
I am fine with him being out in the open. I won't remind him unless Sully has made it plain that he wants to be reminded. But if he wants to celebrate with his face out in the open, more power to him.
The excitement, although there's literally no excitement about this person on any inch of his body at the moment.
Very excited right now.
Right. Of such a academic and scientific acquisition in front of him has made me forget of such simple things as not blending in. So I am as I am in my everyday attire, just walking about without the garb on.
Okay.
All right. I lead him downstairs. And
You're probably like 5 or 6 steps in front of me, and I'm just kind of go. Then he would stop and be like, "You're gonna love him," and then he got to keep going. Yeah, and I have to catch up.
Okay. So so you're lumbering, and I think that maybe we see somebody take a long drag off of like a wooden pipe and like exhale through a cloud of smoke. And as the smoke clears, this person like looks at you and they make that face of like, am I actually seeing this right now? Like what is this thing? And they just watch you walk by like, by the gods. I need more of this. And like go to take another pull on the pipe as you walk by. I think for the most part, there are definitely going to be people who will notice you and who will be like, "Whoa, what's going on?" But this is a night of it's a party, right? This is a night of permissive behavior. So people will mostly just like look the other way unless you make a scene.
Okay. Yeah.
So Berg, while this is happening, while your new friends are upstairs, what are you doing? You're sitting at this table downstairs alone. You have two drinks in front of you.
I think.
What do we see you doing?
I think initially after he disappeared upstairs, you see Berg like looking down back at the his ale and the one offered by Kalimat. He finishes his own goblet and then after like a beat and a hesitation, then drinks it. And then he just starts to kind of look around at the people and starts to see, remember that, it's like a celebration of letting go and the people with their skull masks and things of that nature. And he goes and pulls something out the back of his little side pouch or, just a little storage compartment for him there on itself. And he pulls out a long black feather that he's been holding on to for a long while. And he just kind of starts to twiddle it around a little bit and spin it while looking at it. And, his mind floats back to the Kinku friend that he once knew and different things of that nature. And he gets sad for a moment and kind of, while staring at it. And then while he looks around at everyone else, and then he just drops it down to the ground and lets it go, like physically lets it go. Berg. It is a poignant moment for Berg. It's like got layers, but for Berg, it's also like, I guess this is what I do. We're supposed to let things go.
Yeah, so it tumbles. We watch it slow motion, like tumble to the ground, and it lands next to. We see someone is standing near you. We see a pair of like sandaled feet and like a black robe, and we see this person crouch down, and a pale like ungloved hand picks up the feather, and then we follow them as they stand. And we see their face. They're wearing long simple black robes, a belt of rope. And they have a mask, a skull mask, but it's not on. They have it kind of just like hanging loose around their neck. And so you see a human's face. Has a light skin, shaved head, though it looks like they're in need of a reapplication. There's some like stubble on their head. It's a young, human man, probably in his like early 20s. And he looks at you and he kind of quirks his head and he says, I think you dropped this. And like holds the feather out to you.
Oh, yes, I did. You may keep it if you like.
And he smiles and says, "Oh, no, brother, tonight is not a night for keeping, but a night for letting go." And he looks at you kind of concernedly and he says, "You look burdened, brother."
You call me brother.
He nods and he says, "Are we not all brothers in the eyes of the gods?"
Some in this world do not see it that way.
Yes. Well, he shrugs and he says, "It is not my job to educate everyone in the world, but to help where I can. And I think, brother, I can help you here, now. Perhaps with this." And he doesn't hold the feather out to you to give it back, but just holds it out like maybe you dropped this on purpose, like for a reason.
No.
Do you say anything?
Yeah, I said, like he's motioning to give it back again.
He's just holding it out, like referring to it. Maybe I can help you.
I'm afraid that would take too much of your time.
And he
But-
shakes his head. He says it's no trouble at all. It's what I do. And you see, I think on his hand, he has not tattoos, but scars, like marking the whole back of his hand and like all around his fingers. And you notice now, like getting a better look at him in the light. Same with his face. He has all of these like intricate, kind of nearly invisible scars running. Like it would have taken a long time with a very sharp implement to be as scarred as subtly as he is. You can only catch it because it's the light catching off the like tissue on his face. And he says it would be no trouble at all.
What exactly do you do?
And he says, I'm a priest, brother. I pray. I need only your name. And if you'll allow me, this feather.
I think Berg looks down, and then looks back up at the guy's eyes, and gives him the same stare that he gave Kalimat, trying to figure out his intention. If he's,
Yeah.
somebody that's
Do you want to make an insight check?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
It's good. It's a good roll. that is the number one. It's the number one.
Oh man.
Yeah. I mean, I will leave it up to you to decide if you decide whatever you think that you think, right? You look at him and whatever, Max, whatever you think Berg thinks is going on, you don't get any more insight than that.
okay. Can I just get another description of what he looks like again? Just like
Yeah. So it's hard to tell much about his body because he's wearing these like kind of heavy black robes. All of his skin has these fine, all this fine scar tissue all over it in like particular sort of strange patterns. Same with his face. His head is shaved, and he's wearing. He has a mask that he was wearing, but it's now kind of hanging loose, like down around his chest, and it's in the shape of a skull.
how would you say he fits in with the rest of the people that are there?
I mean, everybody's dressed like in death's trappings, but he's like a goth at a Halloween party. You get the impression he dresses like this every day of the year.
Since this is taking a minute, I think that we would have come down by now.
Sure.
And I see this exchange happening, and I put my hand on Solly, and I pause him. I like stop him for a second, and I look and I whisper to him, "That man that's talking in the black robes, what affiliation does he have? Do you know?"
I tilt my head at him. Can I make I guess, perception check?
Yeah, so perception would be to look for things that he is hiding. So if he's got any weapons on him you can't see, like details like that. If you want to recognize like his affiliation by his clothing, you'd make a religion check in that case.
Oh, I will take that religion check.
Okay.
I will still take a 9.
Okay. Roll a 2.
Damn.
Roll a 2 with that. Sometimes even a +7. Here we are on the Chaos Plateau.
I turn back to.
Wait. Before, is it easy to know?
I mean, he's a priest, and you don't really. You could guess really, like relatively easily, that he's a priest of death. But beyond that, I mean, if he belongs to a suborder or if his tattoos mean something, none of that is clear to you.
Okay, If Sally relays that information to me, that's all I need to know. That he's a priest, and he's gonna fucking harsh our mellow.
Yeah, I
so to speak.
I cock my head a couple times and turn back to you. He's a priest of death.
Ah, well, all right then. And then, whatever point in Berg's conversation with him, you want me to come in, I will come in.
Who are you speaking to, me or Adam?
I'm talking to Adam.
Okay.
Like story-wise, like if you had something that you wanted to get out before I bust in.
Yeah, let's get so there's this moment. I don't think there's anything else. Like he's offered to Berg, like, let me help you. And then if you step up to interrupt, then you're welcome to.
No, Berg considers it, and like I said, gives him that gaze, and can't really make a distinction one way or another of this person, and based on past experiences, he decides to just he pushes the feather back to him, with one hand, and he's like,
Pray if you want to. A name is not important.
And he,
And then I come in.
yeah, he's
And-
about to say something as Kalimat steps up.
I grab the feather and I go, oh, what is this, Berg? Or not Berg, sorry, I don't know his name.
So you snatch it out of his hands?
Yep, I snatch it out of the priest's hands.
Okay. Yeah, and he kind of like looks at you like, "Hey, rude."
Well,
and then-
I'm not like putting it away or anything. I'm
no,
holding
but like,
it, just
yeah, I
holding
mean,
it
he was
now,
holding it, and now you're holding it.
Yeah, exactly.
And so he kind of like looks at you, startled, like it's not in his hands anymore, and he says, I'm sorry.
What is my friend trying to write his life story? Is that what he's doing?
He shakes his head and says, "No, I thought that your friend could use my help. Is all."
Oh, well. My friend, do you need his help?
I don't think he can. And he
well then.
tried.
Then you have your answer. Here's your feather back. Thank you very much for your time, but we have matter to discuss. So, I'm sorry, but they're private matters. I smile.
Yeah, he gets the hint, right? And he bows and gives Berg one last look as if committing Berg's face to memory, tucks the feather away in his sleeve, and leaves. And you notice, well, I don't know what you notice. Kelly, Mike, can you make a perception check?
Absolutely.
Okay, you're good at this, right?
Yeah, +4. Ooh, fuck! Well, getting him out of the way right now, I guess.
He gets absorbed by the crowd. So as soon as he gets away, maybe a group of people move in front of him and start talking, and you just don't see him. He disappears from the room.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So okay, the priest disappears and I sit down. I motion to Salihafa to grab another chair and pull it up, and because he's gonna take his fucking time doing everything.
Well,
I start.
Go ahead.
I start talking to Berg, who I don't know his name yet. I'm sorry. It seemed like that person, that priest, I've gathered, was trying to interrupt our good time, as priests do often. So I hope you don't mind that I shoot him away.
Berg laughs for a moment. He's shooting in his mind back to Ramus.
Yeah, right. You haven't met Ramus yet.
I know a thing or two about priests interrupting.
I'm totally sorry. Can you repeat that? My fucking headphone cord.
No, it's good. Berg's voice said, "I know a thing or two about priests interrupting," shooting back to a memory of a previous.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, and then looks squarely at Salihafa, who I don't know if they're here yet.
Well, I think like he says to go get a chair, and I turn and see that everyone's standing up, but then realize this is a really stupid request of Kali and turn back. And maybe that's like when you're looking at me, I basically catch your gaze. And I hadn't really described my character, so I'll just do it super quick. Bipedal turtle with a slight hunch, humanoid arms, legs, long neck, a bulbous snapping turtle head at the end, large shell, which serves as armor, have bright crimson eyes, gray, dry, leathery skin. The shell is dulled blue with stunted spikes scattered about, a small tail, wide to narrow at the tip, and shoots out the bottom. And then, of course, on the large portion of the shell, if the light hits just right, you can see an intricate fractal design, orangish and blue in color. But you can't really see that, obviously, because you're looking at my stomach. So I'm just towering over you, being that I'm... How tall are you, Berg? Are we of equal height?
Not as tall as me.
You're taller?
Yeah, but Berg's sitting, so you're still you're still pretty tall. Berg's 7'1".
Okay. I'm 475, so I probably have a little bit weight on you.
Yeah. You're still a hulking, wide thing. Plus, you're
Now,
not that much smaller than me in terms of like the world.
before I talk, Adam, do I know this is Berg?
Let's just to set the tone. Let's have you make a perception check when you first see him to see if you can connect this grizzled old warrior with the picture that you got from the bounty hunter.
Okay.
Or from the slaver.
Perception 4. God damn it.
Ooh, a 4. No. I mean, you don't draw that connection. I think if you want to later, you can like dig it out and make that connection. But for this conversation, that's not possible. Until if he says, you don't. I think you know his name. So if he says I'm Berg, then you'll be able to draw that connection. But for now, your memory doesn't connect them because you got that pamphlet or whatever years ago.
The last 4 rolls have been 3,
Yes.
2, 1, 2
Yeah. they've
Very
been pretty-
bad.
on a 20-sided dice.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, we meet and I say, hello. And I just immediately turn to Kali and just like wait for him to. You want us to meet?
Yes, I did. My friend, this is my traveling companion. Introduce yourself.
Hello. I say again. And I say,
Hello.
I am Salihafa Sunu. And I kind of like bow. It is nice to meet you, I suppose. And I kind of look back at
Fair.
Kalimat once again.
Berg looks at you and then back to Kalimat and just.
Does he always speak that slow?
I'm afraid so. I dare
Words
say
are
that my
important, so you must take time to make sure you mean what you say.
I very much doubt that if he was on fire, he would scream for help.
I have never been on fire before.
We
This
can
is just-
try.
But I assume
I'd laugh heartily. I would love to see that, but I don't think you could pierce his leathery skin or his shell with the hottest flame from the fieriest dragon. Present company excluded, of course.
I am sorry.
Bert.
I speak slowly.
No, don't be sorry for who you are.
Solly,
Yeah, I
you
go to speak
remember-
in turn.
oh.
No, I go to
Yeah.
speak in turn to you. What are you saying?
okay. Do you remember that we met that another orc along the way in our journeys that spoke of being in servitude. He was frankly a slave. And he taught me a song. Do you remember that story? 25 years he was under the boot of his masters, and there was a slave uprising, and they killed all of them. Well, we find ourselves in the company of someone who has had similar life experience. And I believe you might have been looking for him. Is that true?
The gaze shifts over to Berg.
You're met with squinting eyes from Berg.
Have I been looking for you?
Let me see that that picture you have.
Berg becomes a little uncomfortable and kind of straightens up his, like showing his might, not necessarily he's like about to fight somebody, but, just kind of ready stance if he needs to move.
Why do you show acts of aggression? These are questions. They will not harm you.
Questions. Questions are not the problem. What people do with information is the problem.
Information is very valuable. And then I just look towards Kali once again. Do you believe this to be him? I do not know what you base that off of.
Well, I'll tell you. Not a lot of his kind around. Well, maybe his race, but not of his gravitas, so to speak. He puts off, pardon me, if we talk about you while you're still here, I apologize. I know that's rude, but my friend has social inequities. He puts off an air that I've only felt the one time before, like I said. So, give me the picture, and we'll continue from there.
Berg's watching both of them very intently. Not quite, like panicky eyes, but just kind of like looking.
Mm-hmm.
I pull out a folded up piece of parchment, hand it over.
The moment you pull out the parchment, Berg starts to speak. Says,
I don't know you two. The next few things you do are very, very important.
I
Choose them carefully.
My head turns to Berg. I haven't let go of the picture yet. I say, this is a piece of paper. It has a picture on it. He believes this picture is you. I do not. Do you wish to open it yourself?
No.
Well, then it falls to me, and I grab it.
My hand just kind of resides where you grabbed it from, and I just look at you.
I like grabby hands over here. Kalimat, like mine. That's for me. Give it to me. These are mine.
Yeah.
It's what I do, baby.
Yeah. So suddenly, and again, it's that same, because you have a fairly decent sleight of hand, right?
Yes, I do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and you're very dexterous. So yeah, it's more like a magic trick and less like a snatch. Like it's like you're holding the paper and then whoop, it's gone, and Kalimat has it.
Yeah.
And so you have this, and it's old. So Berg, looking at the outside of the paper, it's a piece of parchment that looks like it has been folded and unfolded, gathered up and tucked into pockets. It's probably got some bits of stain on it. Like it's seen its way around the world. So you see this, and now Kalimat's holding it.
Now just out of time or out of character or whatever.
Sure.
Remind me again what Sali Haffa, or I think I'm talking to JP. Remind me again what Sali Haffa's purpose for. I need to solidify the purpose for finding Berg and Ramus.
To phrase this slightly differently for JP, for you.
Okay.
What have you told Sali Haffa? What have you told Kalimat? Is your reason?
There you
go. For looking for Berg.
That to further study or to further my knowledge, I wish to simply ask questions of this orc named Berg to see which parts of these myths are true. And that's kind of where I left it. I didn't necessarily explain the myths or tell you what they were, but just that, I've heard a billion different things. I just want to ask him questions and see what is true and what is not, and if there's anything to glean on the nature of the world from them.
Okay. So I have the paper, I unfold it, and I put it down on the table face up so he can see, facing him.
Yeah.
And I let him look at it and let him speak if he chooses.
And I'm
Berg,
very carefully watching his response.
So Berg, it's like staring into the past, right? You see your own image there on the paper from ages and ages ago, it says in the script of the Court of Swords, which we can imagine like it's written like Khmer or like the Thai alphabet, like it's all sort of swirly, and it says, we get the subtitles as we look on it. it says.
Can you read?
I mean, we see it, right? So as the audience, we get to see this.
Okay.
Berg, it's up to you. I don't know if you can or not, if we've established this, but we get to see.
I don't
And
think
in big letters at the top, it says "escaped slave." There's the picture of Berg, and then the writing underneath lists like some crimes that Berg committed in escaping, right? Like the killing of three dwarven landowners and their guards. Like there's just this list of like terrible crimes, and then there's a figure, an amount in pieces of gold. And it's in the thousands of how much Berg is worth, and it has the official stamp, like the seal, though it's flaked and old. It has the seal of the Court of Swords, like one of the bureaucratic divisions of the Court of Swords. So this is like a state-sponsored bounty hunt. In the Court of Swords, any person who basically Berg has no rights there. Anyone could just kill Berg and be legally allowed to do so. Because of this edict. So Berg, can you read any of that, or do you just see this like ancient image of your face?
Berg knows obviously the image of his face. He knows what it is. He knows the word slave. The way Berg reads, to shed some light on it, is he can't read fully. He knows how to read in the sense that a kid who's just learning how to read knows how to read. As in, he's not exactly sure he's doing it right, but he's picking out words in that way. So he doesn't really know if he knows how to read properly. He was never taught, right? But his brain is much like a child in that sense, where he's not sure if he's doing it right, but he knows certain words.
Well, and it's trickier because the language of the Court of Swords is not idiogrammatical, right? So like if for example you had been raised in or spent time in the Court of Coins, it's easier to be semi-literate because you're like, oh, that's the word for tree because it looks like a tree, and that's the word for mountain because it's shaped like the peak of a mountain. Yeah. That's a person, right? But you don't get any of that with this sort of swirling kind of like snake-looking language. Yeah. So you're able to pick up bits and pieces, but I like that. Yeah,
he knows
you're like
through repetition is what it is. That's
you know that you know the word for slave. You know that your name is not on there. You recognize there is like a number because you recognize the symbol for money. And you recognize the language itself as being familiar from the Court of Swords.
Mm-hmm. He stares at it for a bit. His eyes might go a little,
Yeah. Do you make any indications of like, this is you?
Well,
that's what I'm looking for, but I might need.
Maybe I can roll too.
Yeah, let's have an insight
roll.
Let's have an insight roll from either or both. If Kalimat, if you're paying attention too.
Yes.
Insight roll from both of you, Sally Haffa and Kalimat, and then Max, you can tell us what they can pick up. Okay, yeah. So Sally Haffa, good stuff. You get a 19, and then decent, but not as good. Kalimat got a 13. So I'll let you be the GM for this one. How much do you think a 13 or a 19 is like worth?
Sure. Okay, so Kalimat will notice Berg's eyes and like eyelids. If you can see them much, they're kind of hard to see because of his big brow and all that. And the shadow casting there, you see them kind of widen just slightly, like a slight change at the sight of his own face from the past. Sally Haffa sees Berg slightly shift his weight a little bit, and also sees Berg grip the table a little bit tighter than normal. Like then it was resting on the table. Perhaps we'll say around the mug again, around his mug of ale, and he grips it just a little tighter. Okay. So he sees all those things. So he's definitely seeing something, a reaction, whether or not how he perceives it.
I think being that this is kind of like Sally Haffa's life work, this is what his quest in the past several years has been tracking down this person. He takes a whim and he looks up and down, and I've always wondered how this meeting would occur. Berg, correct?
Oh shit.
Berg
right.
And then
instead of saying that, Kalimat goes.
And then there's no.
He puts a wanted post on the table. He's like, Berg, I presume.
And then there's no response, and I just I continue. And the slave that got away, the orc who keeps the company of angels, the man who traveled with Azure Vortex herself. Truly, is it you?
When you say Azure Vortex, too, like the words Azure Vortex, when you say that, Berg looks up at you and you see some water in his eyes.
You have seen so much loss in your life. And while I do not understand the importance of saying I apologize for that, I do apologize for that. I have so many questions. If you were to answer them, it would make my life mean something.
Questions are important. With what you do, with the information.
It is simply to further the knowledge of, and I put my hand up, this world. This wanted poster, simply a way to identify you. And I like wave my hand and you just see it kind of like flicker on the table in front of us and burn up.
Cool.
You burned the poster?
Yeah.
You have the real thing in front of you, so you don't need. Okay, so yeah, the poster. There's a brief waft of smoke, a slight singe to the tabletop, and then a hiss as the edge of the burning paper meets a little puddle of mead on the table and like fizzles away.
We can break right there too if you want to think about
Yeah,
that.
that's perfect. Yeah,
on.
totally. So that's the last image we see is Berg's face in the old Berg, young Berg's face on the paper, like burning up and turning to embers.
Yeah. Cool.
Cool.
Let's take a break. We got 1 hour left to go here on Court of Swords. We'll be back with more right after this. We'll see you in just a bit.